Aloha. Today I'm going to try to explain how to keep your avocados low. A lot of you heard me say that I'm the only one that complains about having to bend over to harvest avocados. Well, in the last couple of years I overdid it, and so now I'm trying to bring the trees up so I can just reach out and harvest and not have to bend over too much. And when you look at this whole tree, you'll see in a minute how hard it is sometimes to maintain the height right where you want it. It either gets too low or too high. So this one is starting to get a little high, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut part of it off like that. And now that it's off, we can get into the nitty-gritty. Okay, so first thing we want to do is to cut off a lot of the low-hanging branches or branches that are in the way. So a lot of this is pulling down the major parts of the branches, or it's growing back in around from itself. So I want to keep it clean in here. So even these branches will produce. You can even see what could be good scion on it. You can see where it's starting, that part's already come up too much. But when you have these little buds like that, that's ideal for scion. So a lot of what you want to do is keep the branches going up and not having it way down. So even though this is a good branch and this will be producing next year, this is green gold avocado, by the way. Very popular seedling of Charwell. You also want to cut off dead wood or branches that are just in the way. Other branches will be growing back in towards themselves, like on some of this, and you want to keep that weight off. So here's another one that's growing down. Already I can feel the tree moving upwards and taking some of the pressure off. Some of these are crossing into each other. You want to take some of that off. In other words, just open it up. You got to have that light in there. Without the light, you can't really tell what's going on. There's one that's growing back in towards itself. So even on this, so you can see the fruit from, a couple fruit from this year already that are still on there. Actually, there's more in here than I thought. Well, there's another piece that's growing down, so we want to get some of this out of the way too. So these are high enough where, for the most part anyway, where I really don't mind that they're going down. Although this one, when it's got 5 avocados on it, it's going to pull that whole branch down. So I'm just going to cut that off too. Go over to this side, cut these lower branches off that are hanging down. And then let these, the ones coming up, flourish. So you've got new growth here that's heading up. This is heading out. I want to have access to the middle where we're still getting a lot of fruit. Some of this part that's in here is going back towards the inside. So, and there's another piece of dead wood in here. So we want to take all of that dead wood out all the time. sometimes your branch is forking and you get 3 or 4 places. Some of them are growing in, just like on mangoes. You want to eliminate that, and you want to have keep the strong ones growing in the way you want. This may be hard to see, but into the sun, but you can see all of the buds here, and all of those are going to be flowering and producing next year. In fact, this is a very healthy growth on this side of the tree. But I've got to move through here into the shade where it's about 10 degrees cooler. Here's another example of branches. These are all growing down. Oh, I hate wasting this good scion, but it's growing down, and again, you want to keep the tree open. So we had a few hundred avocados on this little tree last year. And the green gold is, got another green gold growing in a 65-gallon pot that has done real well too. More deadwood underneath. So in some of the places that are doing this in Japan, they'll put blocks for these branches that are extended out to support the weight, rather than letting it grow out. But we've got limited space in Hawaii, so we want to make sure that, let's see, I think I'll leave these alone here. But now we start to get into lower branching, and it doesn't have the support from thicker branches. So I'm just going to take this whole thing off. Big sections growing into each other, just like thinning out the tree so you get more light in there. And then the flowers that you do get produce better, like this avocado here. So you can see how few leaves there are and how structured. You know, in some countries like Taiwan, they actually count the number of leaves per fruit. So you need 9 leaves basically to produce 1 fruit. So sometimes the branches, because of the weight, will bend over like this. So we're just going to take this out, even if it leaves an open space. Take out more dead wood. Take out more branches that are growing down. There's a couple growing down there, but we're going to leave those just because we've taken enough weight off of this now, so that next year's crop will be, it's not going to put it down to the ground. It will only do it in here. Again, a lot of this is real thick in here, so we want to have that light in there, and we want to have the airflow, and we want to do away with places that rats and other critters are going to hide that are going to enjoy the avocados before you get a chance to. Now here we got a branch, main branch crossing over another branch. Of course, it's got avocados on it. So I'm just going to let it rest on a lower one, thin out. It's not usually good to do too much pruning when there's still fruit on it, but thinning it out isn't going to hurt. Let's see. Oh boy, this one must have a bunch of fruit because it's pretty heavy. In fact, you can start to see it in here. This is going to help it ripen some. Let's see. I can get lost inside my own avocado. There's a big one too. Again, that's going to weigh down this whole outgrowing branch here. So again, I want to take the weight off so that the branches grow up. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of downward growth in here. I think we'll take off this whole piece. And another one that got knocked off. Got to eat those. So this is coming out, but it's extending pretty far. You can see it's a pretty healthy tree, in part because it gets irrigation. And although I'm planning to talk Dave into doing another video on irrigation one of these days, you irrigate for production and not just to keep things alive, and that's pretty important. So now we've got all of this here. We've got a main branch off the trunk that's come all the way out this far. And it's got all this super low growth here. So what we want to do is thin out a lot of this, and we want to give support to upward branches like this by eliminating the branches that are hanging down, a lot of in-between branches. Let's see. Just so that the natural growth is going to help this to go up. So we're going to thin out just a ton of stuff here. Even all this little new growth. We want to encourage next year's growth upwards, because I'm a lazy farmer, right? I want to be able to reach out and just harvest where I'm at. I don't want to have to use ladders. I don't want to have to climb. I just want stuff growing up. Actually, just take off all of that. Gotta work my way through here. This nice upward growth on some of these. Just gonna tip it so it stays in, doesn't put all that weight. Pull a few weeds while I'm here. We gotta amend Ben Franklin's talks about death and taxes, you know? It should be death, taxes, spam, and junk phone calls, and weeds. Let's see, I think I will take that one off too. That one off, this one off. Just have nice one growth, nice and open. This one, let's see. This is another one that's going out so tall. You know, let's see, we don't really have any upward growth. Well, just a little bit. I think I'll take that whole piece off here. Now, if you cut above the nodes, you might get a new shoot growing up like that. And there's another avocado there. But what happens when you get a few and it weighs down there on the ground? And as soon as they're on the ground, they're fair game for just about anything. This one's growing back towards the center, so cut it. This one's growing back into the other growth, cut it. This one's growing down, cut it. My old teacher here, Mr. Takashiba, said, "It takes guts to prune." Richard Campbell from Florida, when he was pruning mangoes at one of our conferences, he said, "Prune like a criminal." I'm not sure what that means. I wasn't going to ask because I don't like dealing with criminals, but let's see. Where's this one coming from? Take them out. When in doubt, cut it out. Does that make sense? So this is almost gonna, like having a new tree coming up. So you're gonna have growth on this, you're gonna have growth on what we did on the back side. I've got more I've got to cut off of this center piece there, but first we want to get into here, cut more downward stuff. Yeah, and if you cut the wrong one, so what? Sometimes they get so tangled you don't know where you're cutting. But the advantage of keeping these low like this is that you can cut. See, this is just too full for me. I want it open, producing. So for this, I'm going to cut all of that, leave it open, cut this one growing sideways, cut this one growing down, this one's going back inside too. I'm just going to cut them all off. Let's see, these are all growing down here, except this one, which is pushing upwards. So although this is nice new growth, I'm still gonna cut out downward and one of the upwards. So we've got 3 pushing out. This has got 3. Maybe I will cut that one out too. So this is almost at the level where I want it, so it's not as bad. Because next year I can reach out and harvest right here. I don't have to reach too high. I don't want to reach up here, so I'm going to cut this off too. But if I can reach right in here, that's going to be great. So I still want to cut off and thin this out a little bit so we get a little more light, a little more air circulation. Don't provide hiding places for the rats. Now, in this case, I'm at this should be the maximum height of 7 feet because of the weight of the avocados are going to bring it down. So although this one is growing up, it's got nice buds on it, we're already up here, so I don't want to have to reach more than that. And all of that, once the fruit's ready, we're going to cut that off. And the same with a lot of this. So we've got nice upwards growth on this one piece here. This one's growing right back towards the center. Make it hard to Oh, this is going to be nice mulch for this durian tree. Take this out. Oh, another avo. Oh, that one is got, oh, this is perfect. Dinner in 5 days. So you can see these are growing up. The tip is turned back down in part because of the weight. In fact, I think we just take all of that up. Another one. Take all of that off. And put the, save those for later. Let's see, I missed some of this. Growing down. This is starting to turn up, but all of the side growth is going to weight it down. So I want to just chop. Okay. Yeah, we're a little more than halfway through. And I got this, all of this is coming way down here too. So by doing this, I'm really creating a couple of little trees. You know, and we've got a limited space. We've got upward growth on these two. I'll just take the tip off. And we've got keeping it nice and open. Oh, I thought those lazy cats were going to help me drag these branches out of here. Let's see. Get the downward growth out of here. Some of these little side branches. Dead wood, and yeah, basically this happens every year, so you gotta work. Now this is getting pretty thick in here, so we want the upwards growth. We don't want it too thick. Let's see, I think we'll go with this. Keep that one. Now I'm not going to count where the flowers and all of that are going to come, but there'll be a couple hundred fruit on this tree next year, and that I can harvest in 10 or 15 minutes rather than with a picker and getting binoculars out to see if there's fruit up top that need picking. I can just simply cut and save myself a whole lot of trouble in the future. I'm going to cut this whole end off here. Getting there now. I'm going to thin this off. Again, we want the downward growth, the growth that's putting the weight on the upward growth. So this is a nice piece growing up. This is a nice piece, so everything else can come off. Out here, this is getting a little bit too close to the Malama avocado, but look at the buds for the scion on here. This would make great scion. Yeah, I know, I got to do a lot more grafting. I'm going to take off the more downward, some leaves. Yeah, thinning leaves, thinning fruit, that is, it's work, but it's really important for a good production, for high quality fruit. Something we need to really work more on. See, classic downward one. Yeah, it'll be fine, it would produce fine, but you get 2-3 fruit on there, it's going to do that. 2-3 fruit on all of these, this thing will be on the ground next year. So you want to avoid that. More downward under here. I think we'll just take off that whole piece, and this whole piece. Oh, another fruit. Let's see. We got some upward growth on. Yeah, almost there. This is all growing back inside on itself here. Now, I'm going to leave this one, even though it's on top of these others, and I'm going to leave it because it's, hopefully it'll straighten out or force a new shoot, because this on the main lower branch is a good place to have a vertical. It fills in this whole space here. So hopefully next year we'll get a shoot here by one of these nodes, and then I can cut that part off. And this part will produce next year. Some more bottom growth, some more growth going back towards the inside. This one, putting more weight on this guy. Actually, we could just move that one over in there and take that one out. But bottom growth, dead wood. So the bottom line is you want to have space. You want to be able, light to be able to access inner leaves. But you don't want to leave too much to chance, and you don't want to leave too much overgrowth, branches on top of branches. I was thinking about leaving this one, but actually I'm just going to take it all out and let that strengthen in there. We got more bottom. That one can come out altogether. Take the weight off of that. Sometimes I get carried away and cut too much and then wonder why I only got a few fruit, but overall, when I do that, the tree is much more healthy. So this one is taking away light and air from these two. We'll just let that one strengthen up out there. Take off the bottom one, this one. Get some bottom shoots, sideways shoots. Let's see, not bad at all. Now for the top, well, I gotta get more of that cut. So again, the weight will bring it down in a lot of places, but again, we get out the big loppers and go for it. A lot of times you'll see online or on our Facebook page, oh, you can't top avocados. Well, I don't know, I've been topping them for 30-some years and nobody told me you couldn't top them, so I top them. And this would be maximum weight here, maximum ideal height rather, and because any weight on the growth is going to bring it down. If I take these avocados, you can see this, the weight of these, and this branch will go up 6 inches. So you have to try to count the amount of the difference in height once there's weight from avocados on there. And yeah, boy, I missed those 2 branches. Let's down some dead wood in there, probably from last year. There's evidence that a rat got in here. I got to put the cats out in the field. So here's a problem that anybody with avocados is going to face. You know, rat bait works sometimes, but cats usually work better. But not in this case because they couldn't see anything inside there. And I got to pick that up later and get rid of it, of course. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll just cut this whole piece off of here. Oh no, I didn't. I cut the wrong one. Baby fruit. Alright, it's bait for the cats. Bait for the rats so the cats can have a field day. Alright, now I gotta go back around, cut off this other top piece. If I can get in here. Let's see. Oh, all this good scion. Boy, anybody wants some green, gold, and Malama scion? Boy, we got plenty right now. Let's see. All right, we're gonna get that one first. That one, wherever it went to. Oh, breaks my heart to see such nice scion go to waste because after doing this, I don't have the energy for grafting. Now, you know something, where is this at? Oh, hell, I'm gonna do it the right way. The old-fashioned way. This may take an hour. Well, actually, this is a real good saw from Japan, so it won't. And you know, when you cut, you always cut at an angle, right? So look at that. Well, it's too bad I couldn't use this as a cutting. Maybe we should try it in the new greenhouse. Anyway, if you take a look at this one, this is Malama avocado. And Malama is pretty much opened up. And I did this before there was scion. And you can see how it's already starting to flower. Small buds coming. Open up, you can see right through it in some places. In other places it's grown up so well that you can't. But that's pretty much it. I can harvest from both of these next year, maybe 500 trees. 500 trees, I wish. 500 avocados in the time it takes you to harvest 50 of them from the usual tall trees that we have here. So keep pruning. Aloha.